Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole, and I'm here with a very special album flip through for you. Special to me because this is an album that I just finished maybe about 20 minutes ago. Um, I have several albums that are albums in process, and unfortunately I have about 3 or 4 that are about 90% done, but they're waiting on maybe one layout or a couple pictures, an enlargement, journaling. Because I do a lot of my albums at crops or lately on Zoom crops, I don't journal very well when I'm at a crop, and I don't like to use my Cricut at a crop or especially on a Zoom crop because it's loud. And so I have a bunch of these albums that are so almost done, and my goal for the next few weeks is to finish those albums up, to get them completely done out of my craft room into my living room where they can be enjoyed. So I'm super excited because this one is an album from 2016 that I probably have been working on for over a year. So this album, I don't remember the name of it. It was an incentive album from Creative Memories. And I just saw these little twinkle stars and then this contrasting spine, which is the first time I know of that Creative Memories had done that. And I just had to have it. And I don't remember what we had to do to earn it. But I was so glad that I earned it and knew immediately I wanted to use it for a Disney trip. So this particular Disney trip was me with some girlfriends. We were all members of the same online scrapbooking community and decided that we would plan a girls trip together to Disney. The title page here, I'm kind of wishing I would have done it in color, maybe with some colored pencils or something, but the concept behind it was a t-shirt that I saw on the Disney trip. And I took a picture of it and then I printed it out big just on my printer, traced over it with a light table, made a pattern, and then traced it onto the cardstock. It was a ton of work. I don't know that it turned out in real life kind of what my vision was for it, but I still think it's kind of cool. I mounted it on glitter, black glitter cardstock, just to be a little sparkly. I love to use glitter cardstock in my Disney albums. Because it doesn't have page protectors on it yet, though, I've got all sorts of glitter all over on here and on my fingers. So who knows? I'll be sparkling for the next few days, I am sure. So here we go. This is my Disney trip from the end of January 2016. So my sister lives in Orlando. And when I go to Disney, I love to have that excuse to also visit her. So I start here with a picture of me in my window seat with no window, which has happened to me a few times. And then this is my sweet niece, Allie, and she was going through a phase that she had a bunch of t-shirts from BYU that have a Y on them. You can't really tell, but in this picture, I'm wearing a Y t-shirt. She always would wear the Y t-shirts. That was like her favorite thing. And so I thought she needed to have an A t-shirt because, A is for Allie and, Alabama Roll Tide. So this is the little shirt that I took to her on this trip. And then this sketch, I believe, was a project recipe from Creative Memories. I think it was the Essentials project recipe, and that's the paper pack that I used for this. And I think it's just super fun of me with Allie. And I did go visit my sister, but I didn't take a picture with her. Sorry. All right, so the next day, my friend Brenda came up from Tampa and picked me up, and we drove straight to the Magic Kingdom. It was very, very rainy. And so I have all these pictures of us in front of the castle, and we're wearing our ponchos and stuff. And so I journaled about that. I used kind of a sky paper. I don't remember which pack it was from. It's a CM pack. And then I just kind of hand drew these little clouds and cut them out. And they're mounted on little foam squares. So there's a little bit of dimension between the front and back layer. So I could kind of tuck my pictures behind. And I did kind of ink around the edges just, again, to give it a little definition. So it's pretty simple. There's just a hint of a background. But I thought it was pretty fun here with the clouds. All right. Off to the Be Our Guest restaurant. Mostly pictures of the restaurant, a tiny bit of journaling up here at the top. As you can see, I've used the same font again. I didn't do this one all through the album, but what I did was a different font, like for Magic Kingdom, Epcot. I don't know the names of all of them. I think this one is called Jack in the Box. Probably I got it from dafont.com. I'm not 100% sure. When I made all these albums, I had no idea that I would ever have a YouTube channel or that anyone would care. So in the future, I promise to keep track of the fonts. But right now, I can't promise that I'll be able to tell you what fonts they were. So I like to do double page spreads, but I didn't really have enough to do double page, and I knew that this was going to be a super thick album. So I kind of have combined it. So this is kind of our Be Our Guest page. I have one little tiny section that is the Under the Sea ride, and then another little section just with pictures when our friend Daphne got there. We kind of gathered together, our group of 6 gathered together in little bits and pieces, and we did some things here at the Magic Kingdom. Went and met Mickey. This is a fun folded page layout technique that another Creative Memories advisor recently shared. I don't remember her name, darn it. If I can think of it, I'll put it in the comments, but it's just a really cool kind of folded, almost a drape idea. I think she called it the drape page. So you can't really see it so much in here, but I thought it was perfect for this, these pictures of Mickey when he's kind of in front of this red curtain. And then I just used a little bit of gold to match the gold on here. And then this kind of gold sparkle and some yellow to be an accent because, you know, black, red, and gold are definitely Mickey colors. This is a fun layout. I think that I got this from a Pinterest idea and just kind of copied it using Creative Memories Imagine paper and some really old CM stickers from way back in the day with the umbrellas and the rain boots. This was so fun at the Magic Kingdom with some I didn't know that they did. They canceled the regular afternoon parade and did this little rainy day parade with some characters on the little cars and then the dancers in like rain slickers and rain boots. I also made a little paper bow here, which I really like, and I'm probably, again, from some layout sketch that I saw online. You know, this is not necessarily always my style of scrapbooking, but I think it turned out super, super cute for this parade. You can see that the font, when I cut it just in black, it got lost against this busy background. So I did put a shadow layer around this. I cut all my fonts using my Silhouette with a program called Make the Cut. And one of the things that I love about Make the Cut is that it allows me to put a shadow layer around any font, any image that I cut, and in any size that I want. I mean, I could have a shadow layer that came out a ½ inch if I wanted to. It makes it so super easy. So if you have a Silhouette and you're struggling to use it, you might want to think about Make the Cut. I believe you can download the software for free and try it. It won't let you actually cut, you know, like cuts lines through it. But once you pay for it, then you can do it. But you can play with it before you decide. So again, I think this font is called Jack in the Box. So this was one of the funnest parts of our trip, was that we got to stay in the Treehouse Villas, which are technically part of Disney's Saratoga Springs Resort, but they're just these standalone little octagonal shaped houses. They're not like in trees, but they've got trees all around them. So it feels like you're up in the trees because they're raised up off the ground. Super fun. Was kind of the thing that decided me that I needed to go on this girlfriend's trip to Disney, was when my friend Tammy said, hey, we can get a Treehouse Villa. I was like, okay, sign me up. I'm in. I don't know the name of this font. I was at a retreat when we did this as like an overnight sketch challenge or something. And so one of the girls had a Cricut, and I just picked a font that she had that she could cut. And then I traced around it. It's kind of heavy for me to pick up, but I just drew around it with a pen to kind of make it look like a little bit of wood. And then you can also see that I went around the title later with a brown pen, because I feel like that really makes it pop off the page. So especially when you got a busy background, you sometimes really need extra definition to make your titles or things pop out. And this one is still a little bit hard to see, but easier in person, I think, than on camera. But I like the way it turned out. I like the little Mickey that I did along with it. And then, of course, some journaling. So the first day that we were all together, we went to Animal Kingdom. I have this animal print paper. I don't know what manufacturer it is, and I just kind of used a couple pieces. And this is something I do a lot, especially if I only have one piece of a kind of pattern paper, is I'll do like a bottom section that's maybe solid and then just a top part with the pattern paper. And again, I needed to mat my title so that it would pop up off the page. But then I was able to pull colors out from this pattern paper to decide what other accent colors and papers I would do. Took this picture of someone I don't know. It's so funny. She's wearing a parka. I mean, yeah, it was January in Disney. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, but I just thought that was funny, a little parka. And so, oops, I have pictures of all of 5 of the 6 of us. We all kind of got our picture taken individually. I've got all 6 of us here together. One of the girls, for whatever reason, I don't have a picture of her. I don't know if she didn't take one or what, but somehow I don't have it. So, sorry, Daphne, you're not going across the page right here. If there's a picture of you somewhere, send it to me and I'll trim mine and I'll squeeze you in. But you're in here. All right, here we got some of these fun magic shots from Disney where they just tell you, okay, look at your arm and make a surprised face or hold out your hand. And then later on when you get your pictures back, they put fun little Disney characters. You know, at Tinkerbell, we got the little lizard from Tangled. Here's Timon and Pumbaa. And I thought that was really fun. And then I just used this kind of animal print paper. I have no idea where it came from. I didn't need very much of it because it's mostly pictures on this page. So here we met Flick. It's a Bug's Life. I've had this paper forever. I don't even know where I got it, how long I had it. It's kind of a embossed metallic cloud on a polka dot background. I thought it went perfect with the whole Bug's Life thing. I used the Grass Border Maker cartridge. I used the one from Creative Memories and the one from Our Memories for Life, and I kind of staggered them. And then I used these bug stickers, these old Creative Memories bug stickers. We used to laugh about how many bug stickers we had in old CM, and I was so excited that I got to use a whole bunch of little bug stickers on my page with Flick. Here's the safari ride. By this point, I think we had split up a little bit our group, but of course there's no people in this picture, so it doesn't matter. This paper came from a pack that I got at Joann a long time ago. You'll see several pieces from this paper pack. It's really thick, and I think that's contributed to how thick this particular album is. But I'm trying hard to use up old stuff so that I have more of an excuse to buy new stuff. Originally, I was going to put some little heads of little people in this bus. I thought that would be really cute, probably an idea from Pinterest, but instead I decided to use it as a little tiny journaling box. And all I just said was it was fun to go on the safari and that the lions are my favorite. Here's some more paper from that same paper pack. Had some interesting textures, and I was just trying to use it up, and I thought it went well with Minnie and Mickey in their little safari outfits. So this is one that I love, this Tree of Life page. I went on the internet and found this Tree of Life silhouette and then imported it into my Make the Cut software, printed it, cut it big as a 12 by 24 and split it across 2 pages, cut it twice to make the shadow layer. It's nice if you're doing a scrapbook because you can just put your 2 12 by 12 pieces of paper up together like this on the 12 by 24 mat. And it doesn't matter that it's cut down the middle because you're going to split it anyway for your scrapbook page. So a lot of it's covered up with the pictures, but I think you get enough of it showing that it gives a good effect. My Animal Kingdom font, I think, is called Janda Truly Madly Deeply. And again, odds are really good. I got it from dafont.com. All right, next we went to Epcot the next day. I think it was the next day, actually. I probably need to, yeah, it looks like this is kind of dusk, and I need to maybe journal that this was the next day, put some dates on it. So we split up in the morning. We met during the day, but some of the girls were early risers. Some of us are night owls. And so it just made sense for us to use Disney transportation and go where we wanted to go and hook up when we wanted to and go home when we didn't. This paper is from an old CM collection called Soiree. And I've liked it for a long time, but I found it hard to use. And so when I figured out that it would go well with Epcot just by splitting it on the page, these are 2 4x6 pictures, so there's no paper underneath here. And so I was just able to cut this paper this is probably a 7 and a 5. And so I used one piece of pattern paper for this whole layout and left the back white. And I think it looks great. It looks fun and matches, the pictures and just the feeling of being at Epcot. This paper was from a collection called A Year to Remember, and it's super busy, and I had struggled to use it, but I thought it went well with kind of this strip of pictures, and then I took the one picture that's all of us together and I gave it a matte, which I think breaks up kind of the monotony of just having a row of pictures along the middle of the page. But this way I was able to kind of get everybody in, and with some of these fun pictures that we had together in front of the fountain at Epcot, which is no longer there, sadly. But in 2016, we didn't know it was going away. So after part of our day at Epcot, we headed over to Hollywood Studios. I don't know the name of this font. I think it's called, I don't know what it's called. If someone really cares, tell me in the comments and I will look it up, but I'll have to scroll through all the fonts on my computer to be able to tell you. So just me and Donna, we rode the boat over there, and so we got this picture together. We met up with Colleen. I took a picture of the guy at the guest services that was helping us because he had a beard. For a long time, Disney cast members couldn't have beards, and even now it's still a little disconcerting. I look twice sometimes when I see a cast member with a beard. Almost as confusing as when you see winter clothing at Disney, hats and gloves and scarves, because you don't really usually need that there. And I found myself thinking, do they just wrap this in plastic and stick it in a back corner for the other, 11 and a half months of the year? And I didn't buy any Disney gloves. I probably should have, because when are you going to get a chance for that? All right, the big thing that we did on this trip, besides staying in the treehouse, was to go to the Star Wars dessert party. I don't remember how much it cost. It was probably $69 a person or something like that. So that's not something I can necessarily afford to do with my whole family. But when I abandon my family and just go with my girlfriends and only have to pay for myself, then suddenly I can afford all sorts of things. So this page and the next page are the dessert party and the fireworks. And I used the same kind of basic layout design. This is one piece of paper that I had it's kind of metallic, embossed, shimmery, and I cut it into 4 3-inch by 12 strips. So I was able to use it on 1, 2, 3, 4 layouts. And then I put my horizontal pictures kind of above and beneath this paper. This must be 3.5 inches wide, actually, now that, I said it was 3. That's right. Okay, 3 inches wide. And then I have a couple that go up kind of into the strip, and I really like the way that looks. And then it gave me some spots for journaling. So this was fun, our little group selfie that we took, and some of the fun desserts that they had at the dessert party. And then the next one is the fireworks show, this Galactic Spectacular. Something that I love to do when I'm watching fireworks with other people is to turn my camera and try and take a picture of the people, because I think that makes my layout of fireworks a little bit more fun. And so I was able to get some pictures of the girls in our group, as well as the, of course, the pictures of the fireworks, which were indeed spectacular. Look at that firework that looks like the Death Star. So cool. Okay, so not done yet. Tammy had rented a car, but it only had seats for 5. And so she took everybody home. Some of our girls that are early risers were ready for bed, but I got on a bus and rode to the the Wilderness Lodge, and then rode a boat over to the Magic Kingdom. And I wrote in my journaling, I don't know why I did that. It would make more sense for me to have taken a bus to the Magic Kingdom directly, but I think maybe at that time they didn't run buses from park to park. I don't know. But Anyway, I had almost the whole boat to myself, and I got here and I took some pictures, you know, PhotoPass photographer. So that's always fun, and I never know which one to pick, so I put them all. This paper is actually from a Christmas pack that Creative Memories had called Sugar Plum, which is actually one of my favorite paper packs we've ever had. And then Tammy dropped everybody off and came and met me, and we like shut down the park. It was, I want to say it was open till midnight, but it might have been even later than that, which surprises me a little bit because it was just the end of January. So maybe it was extra magic hours or something like that. We went and rode Pirates of the Caribbean. We had a whole boat to ourselves. No wait, nothing, you know, walked on the ride, had the whole boat to ourselves. That was fun. And I just used kind of this wood plank paper, and I split. So this is still, this section kind of still goes with this layout, but I was able to kind of squeeze it on and do the two events together in one layout. I think it works all right. We watched the laser show in front of the castle, celebrate the magic. This is what happens before the fireworks. I mean, I do have a couple of fireworks pictures in here. Tinkerbell flying. I'm always trying to get pictures of Tink. Some pictures of all the people in front of me holding up their phones. This is just kind of one of a color block collage, one of my very favorite techniques when I have a lot of pictures. I'm hoping to do a video on how I do this sometime soon. I'm just kind of waiting till I come across the perfect pictures that need this technique so that I can make a video for you and show you how I put these collage pages together. So at some point that's coming, and it might come sooner if anybody feels like they need to nag me. All right, then I did a little bit about the partners statue. I just have these pictures. Just pretty simple page. I almost wish I had something else to go in here. I don't know that it turned out the way on paper that I wanted it to turn out in my brain. But I have the fun pictures of the Mickey and Walt statue. And then we went and saw Anna and Elsa. Turns out it's really nice to go meet them at midnight because there's no line. So we had a chance to go see Anna and Elsa before we headed home to the treehouse. So the next day we had to check out of the treehouse. We'd had our fun, our weekend. This was Sunday. Tammy and Daphne and Brenda were all going home, and the other three of us had finagled a few extra days to stay. And so we all went to Disney Springs. Donna and I rode the boat. We rode the little boat down the river past our very little treehouse. We saw the little amphibious boats in here. I love this picture because there's a little kid photobombing us, which is very fun. And just some random things at Disney Springs. This paper pack was called Mix and Match Rainbow. And it was another one that was like an incentive paper pack. But I love it. I wish that they would have sold it because it's just such a fun paper pack with kind of these fun pastel-y rainbow colors. And you can see I did lots of little journal boxes on this one because I had a lot of separate events. So I did my main journal block about kind of what happened, but then, you know, I wrote hello little photo bomber in here so people won't miss on this little guy. Wrote about the boats, about the little princesses from the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and some of that stuff. So lots of different ways you can journal. I'm a big fan of journaling. Somebody in the comments of one of my videos recently mentioned that they struggle with journaling. And so the technique that somebody taught me years ago was, if I were sitting next to you on the couch and you were showing me your album, what would you want to say to me? And so those are the things that I try to write on here, on my scrapbooks, kind of what we're doing. You know, here I went to this Vivoli El Gelato, which I've just pronounced horribly wrong. I'm so sorry, Katie, when you hear this. But I always try to go to the Vivoli place because we went to the one that's in Italy. I think it's in Florence with Katie on our trip in 2014. And so I always like take a picture just for Katie here. And so I wrote about that, you know, all the little things that I might tell you if we were sitting together. And then for the second half of our trip, we stayed at the Grand Floridian. So staying at the tree houses has been like I don't want to say a lifelong bucket list item of mine because I didn't know about them my whole life. But as soon as I found out about the tree houses, I've been dying to stay in them. And of course, the Grand Floridian is like the flagship resort of Disney World, but I can't afford to stay there, or choose not to afford to stay there. I could afford to stay there if like I stopped paying my mortgage or something for a while, but because I was with Donna and Colleen, we split the room. I was able to get a military discount, and it was still super expensive, but it didn't feel as bad when I had two other people splitting the cost with me. So that was a fun kind of, again, bucket list item to stay at the Grand Floridian. So a few pictures from the lobby, pictures of our room. Then we went to dinner with Cinderella at 1900 Park Fair, which is a restaurant in the Grand Floridian. I have this fun princess paper that I got somewhere and these little crowns. It's really busy paper, but I hope that I've used it sparingly enough that it's not overwhelming. Again, I've matted my title so it pops up off the page. And I love to journal on a separate piece of cardstock, mostly because that way if I make a mistake, I can like flip it over and use the back, or I can start a whole new piece. But I feel like, especially on paper like this, you'd have no choice but to journal on a piece of solid cardstock because it would never show up on something like this. So that's just a technique that I use a lot, and you'll see a lot more of that as we keep going through. So here is the fireworks we could go down and see from the dock outside our room. I did take a gold metallic pen and trace around the letters. They just were kind of getting lost on this dark blue, and I didn't necessarily do the neatest job, but I think you definitely can see the words better than you could before. And then the electric water pageant, I didn't have any really room to journal, so all my journaling for both of these pages is in this block. And then I went back to Hollywood Studios the next day, got a bunch of pictures. I love this one with Mike Wazowski, and then this one where I'm feeding the dinosaur. But I didn't leave a lot of room for journaling on here, so I actually probably need to go back and figure out a way to journal those things I just told you, which I did not actually journal in my book. So the Star Wars launch bay, these stormtrooper heads were a piece of like laser die cut scrapbook paper. So there must have been like 6 or 7 rows of these stormtrooper heads, and it was just too much. I didn't need a whole background page of stormtrooper heads. So I've just cut them apart. I've actually used them in a couple of different scrapbooks. I may even still have a strip or two left. And so I just kind of did these on a border. And so this is kind of outside the launch bay. This was inside the launch bay. And then I tried to just tie it together by using this same kind of goldenrod paper for my journaling about how fun it is to see the characters roaming around, but they won't stop and take a picture with you, which in a way is kind of nice. It kind of keeps them in character, but as a scrapbooker, darn it, I would have loved a picture with a Jawa. Okay, so Darth Vader. I have met so many Disney characters. I am a grown-up. I know these are Disney magic characters, you know. Darth Vader was terrifying. He was so scary. And I wrote in my journaling that it was a good thing I didn't know the plans for the Rebel base, because I probably would have told him. It was really scary. And if you look at the expression on my face, I'm not acting. He's burned into my psyche, I think, from my childhood. And whew, meeting Darth Vader was really scary. And then I went next door to the next room, met Chewbacca, who's just wonderful. And I wasn't scared of him at all. He gave me a big hug, and then everything was better. So thanks, Chewbacca, for helping me out. If you see these two layouts, I tried to take my inspiration from the photos. So here in this picture with Darth Vader are these lights right here. And so I have a label punch from Stampin' Up! And I was able to punch through this cardstock to kind of mimic that same design. And then with the Chewbacca, he's kind of in a wood or a carven stone kind of backdrop. And so I cut from some stone paper around to the corners and matted these stone blocks. And I think it works really nicely for, these two layouts. And again, because I'm using that same font, my studio's font, Cosette, maybe? I don't remember what it was called. I did try looking up through my computer, but I have a lot of fonts and I got lazy. So but I think that these work really well together, and I'm so glad I got to do this. And boy, it felt nice to have that hug by Chewbacca after meeting scary Darth Vader. All right, so this layout, I don't know that I love. It's super busy. Excuse me. But I have had this paper for a long time. It's a little bit shimmery metallic. I wanted to use it. I drew kind of the little film thing by myself. And again, it didn't really work the way I wanted. It's super busy, but I didn't really love this this meal that we went to. We kind of decided at the last minute, oh, let's go to this Minnie Mouse special meal. But I wrote in my journaling that it was the most expensive meal of our trip and pretty much my least favorite. But they did give us these little coasters. I got 2 of them. So one of them is the front for my title and one of them is the back. But you can see that the busyness of the page is a lot less pleasing than even, these pages I feel like are much more visually pleasing, slightly restful. And then you come to this one and it's kind of blah. So, you got to be really careful using busy pattern papers in your background, because my pictures do kind of feel like they've gotten a little bit lost. All right, so we were going to go to see Fantasmic, but by the time we got over there, they told us it was standing room only, and so they went home. But they're the morning girls. They were up and out before I left in the mornings, and I'm a night person, and so I decided that I wasn't gonna go home yet. I kind of walked around. I watched the fireworks again, and took my picture a few more times with my free photo pass, my annual pass, and then I took the boat back to Epcot. I was mostly by myself on the boat. It was the last boat from the studios back to Epcot. I rode the little Mexico ride. It used to be called El Rio del Tiempo. I don't know what it's called anymore. I can't remember. 3 Caballeros ride. And then I went and met Baymax, which was pretty cool. He's big and full of air. And so you have to take off any pins or anything that you might be wearing that could pop him, which was kind of fun. And then I rode Spaceship Earth, and then I went back to the hotel. So the next morning I headed back to Animal Kingdom by myself. We had started this Wilderness Explorer thing when we were there earlier on our trip, and I wanted to finish it up. First, I have these fun pictures with Chip and Dale, and I love this one where Chip is giving me a kiss, and we're doing the little Wilderness Explorer sign, which was fun. And then I did manage to get my Senior Wilderness Explorer badge. So if you go to Animal Kingdom, you can get this book. It's mostly designed for kids, but Disney doesn't segregate as to who is a kid and who is not a kid. And then you go all the way around the park, and it shows you where there are different little stations, Wilderness Explorer stops, and you have different little things. So you get the first one you get from doing the badge. Here's something with the flamingos. You play the drums, look at a bug. Here's one I had to draw a picture of my favorite animal on the safari. I do a little lion. They don't test you on artwork. This one, it says, my hiking badge on the Panjani Forest Exploration Trail. And I drew a picture of a gorilla with a bucket on his head, because that's what we saw. And it was just fun to do all these little things. And then if you finish all of them, oh, look, a hand washing badge. I knew I was going to need that for 2020. I had somebody from another country. She wrote her name, or my name, in Thai. And it was just fun, a fun little thing to do, even for a grown-up, to get all these little things doing the Wilderness Explorer. And then I went back to the front of the park. I showed them my book, all my stickers, and she said, do you want the quiet ceremony or the loud one? And I said, well, I want the loud one. And so she went out in the walkway and she said, attention, let's congratulate our newest Senior Wilderness Explorer, Nicole. And all the people clapped for me, and it was surprisingly fun and enjoyable to be clapped for by a bunch of strangers. So here's a pocket page. I've showed these before. That's another thing I'm going to be working on a video for. It also contributes to why my book is so thick, because this is a pretty thick little book, but I wanted to keep it. And because the page protectors will slide and be sealed at the top and bottom or open on the outside, it'll be easy someday for somebody to pull this out if they want to look at it and see all my badges that I worked so hard to earn. So just a few more random Disney pictures. You know, Tarzan talked to me about my Wilderness Explorer badge. This is with the, I don't remember what the name of this vine was. A fairly recent vine punch that Creative Memories had, which I'm sure I'll remember as soon as I stop this video. Some old kind of animal print paper. I have saved animal print paper for many years, ever since we started going to Disney, because I want it for my Disney pages. So here's kind of a random page that I inserted it just in the album. After I was done at Animal Kingdom, I just put a page of all the food. I love the food at Disney. I love feeling like I can eat without guilt because I'm going to walk like 25,000 steps a day. So I just kind of took pictures in the different parks. So, and just labeled them with a little journaling tag. The chocolate covered pineapple spear, Flame Tree Barbecue, 1900 Park Fair, Boma, which is my very favorite restaurant in the whole wide world, and these zebra domes that they have for dessert are a big reason why. Some of these others, I actually don't remember which park this is. I think it's, or which restaurant. I think it's Animal Kingdom, because this fruity beverage and a salad, I can't remember though. So if somebody is watching this and you're like, oh, I know where you get that drink, it's at wherever, please tell me. I kind of almost think it's Flame Tree Barbecue, but I don't usually eat at the same restaurant twice on one trip, so I don't know. So that one doesn't have a tag, and it's going to drive me nuts. All right, back to Epcot. We can tell this because I use that same Epcot font that I don't know the name of. This paper pack with the hot air balloons was a close to my heart paper pack, and I've loved it, and I thought it went great for this kind of around the world. You know, you think of the Around the World in 80 Days story by Jules Verne, and you know, I liked the way it worked together. I went and bought a funnel cake, and these ducks were like coming right up to me. And you know, you're not supposed to feed them. They ask you not to feed them. But boy, it's really hard when they're coming right up at you. I was a little bit intimidated by these ducks. Here we went to so I had reconnected with Donna by this point. And we went to this Epcot character spot and got our picture taken with Minnie and Mickey again. And I had this striped Disney paper. And so I just cut it into 2 strips and put it across the bottom and all my pictures. And so very simple page, but almost very busy. And I just am realizing now that I have not actually journaled on this one. So before I put my page protectors on, I'm going to journal, because it turns out right here, I said, oh, Mickey, you're my favorite person. And then I remembered Mickey's not a person. He's a mouse. So, and Goofy and I always like to compare, you know, if my hair is as long as his ears. I had met Baymax the night before, but Donna hadn't. So we went back, and so she could also get a picture with him. This paper, I think, comes from a stack pack that I've had for a long time, like a Boys Will Be Boys or something, and I thought it went well with the Baymax. And it's probably based on a Pinterest sketch, just by looking at kind of the style of it. That looks like a Pinterest sketch to me. So this is our nighttime one. I had a lot of journaling because, you know, we did things I didn't necessarily take pictures of. One thing I love about this page is that I was able to use one piece of pretty busy pattern paper. I cut it 90 degrees and put the kind of the triangles together, but then I put out most of the pictures on the background and left this kind of blank. You know, I've talked about white space before, leaving that to the outside, and then it gave me all this space to journal about, you know, we went to dinner, we went watched Illuminations, and then fun story on the way home, we rode the monorail back to the Transportation and Ticket Center and walked to the Polynesian because we really wanted to get a Dole Whip. And she had tried to get one in the morning on her way out, and they weren't open yet. And we got there and they were closed. And so we went into the little food court and said, hey, do you guys sell Dole Whip? And the girl said, I'm sorry, we don't, but hang on, let me check on something. And she went in the back, she went to the closed little shop that sells Dole Whip, and she brought us 2 little free cups of Dole Whip, which was very nice. And so I wrote, thank you, Polly cast member Miriam. So if anyone knows Miriam that works at the Polynesian or worked there in January of 2016, she really made our night magical. And then now it's time to say goodbye, the end of my trip. I've had this Snow White paper with the matching side for years and years, and I was so glad to finally get to use it because I have my little pictures with Snow White. I don't know what happened to all the rest of my Tinkerbell pictures. This was a PhotoPass picture, and so usually we would have like a posed picture like this with Tinkerbell, but for whatever reason, this is the only one I ended up with. And it was Tinkerbell asking me about what the words on my shirt, which say Roll Tide, meant, and trying to explain Roll Tide to a fairy from Neverland who did not get it was more trouble than it was worth. Ice cream sandwich and a churro. My last day, I gotta stock up on all the things. And then I watched the Festival of Fantasy Parade. I love Disney scrapbooks because they're so appropriate for using glittery, sparkly paper. So I just had a little bit of this purple glitter paper and this glitter paper with the chevrons, and I just kind of, you know, interspersed these layouts with it, and then left a space for my journaling. And I probably again a Pinterest layout. One thing that's interesting is that the traditional size for photos is 4x6. So I trimmed these down to like 3.5 by 5, maybe 5.5, which works really well with pictures you take on your camera phone, because often those are not taken in a 4x6 ratio. If you've ever taken pictures with your phone and had them come back cropped kind of funny, that can be why, because they're really in a 4x5.3 aspect ratio. And so that allows you to put two pictures on top of each other and still have a little bit of space in a way that you can't do with a full 4x6 photo. And then my very last page, this is with a close to my heart paper pack. I don't remember the name of it, but I loved it. I had like 3 packs of it, and I've used it for title pages and end pages. And I love the colors. I love this little kind of speckly stone paper. And although this picture of me sitting on the beach by the Grand Floridian happened before, you know, I left Disney, I just thought this was a great kind of an ending page. Title pages are sometimes hard for me. Ending pages are sometimes hard for me. And so when I'm working on my scrapbook and I find a picture that will be a perfect end page, I will go against my nature and do a tiny bit out of order. And I just talked about what a great time I had with my friends and how I was able to check several things off my bucket list. But at the end of the day, or at the end of the week away, going home felt pretty wonderful too. And that's always a nice thing about vacation. When you have a great time, you're glad you went, but you're also happy to go home. And so then this whole album is really thick, but I fit a whole 6-7 day trip to Disney in one album, and I'm pretty proud of myself. And because I didn't go with my family, I couldn't justify a multi-album Disney trip like I usually do. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my very most current finished Disney album, finished just tonight, Sunday night, and hopefully this will inspire me to finish up those other albums that are so close to being finished. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope that you enjoyed my album and got some inspiration for your own books. I'm sorry that I don't know the name of all those fonts. If you really want me to check it out, I will, but gosh, I hope you don't, because it's a pain to have to look through those fonts, and I promise to be better about keeping track of what fonts I use. All right, thank you so very much, and happy scrapbooking.